Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another Monday Night Football NFL Week 17 breakdown here on Honorable Mention Sports. I'm your guy, Drew Bedard, here for Honorable Mention. As you can see there, once again, sponsored by the Pick'em U app. You can play college football, the bowl games, great bowl game that just wrapped up between Missouri and Iowa, by the way. Play the bowl games, play the college football playoffs, which are coming up in a couple of days, or you can you're going to be able to play the NFL playoffs on there against me and the boys, me and Josh and Caleb and everybody else who might jump in. So if you're watching on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, X, or TikTok, thanks for watching. If you're listening to this later on the podcast, we appreciate it. We're going to go back to the well here and do a little week 17 breakdown of all the games. So let's get that started. If you have any questions, drop them in the chat. I'd be happy to talk about them, or questions, comments, controversies. All right. So weird week of football because everything's spaced out because of Christmas. So Merry Christmas to everybody and Happy New Year coming up. So let's go back to last Wednesday, Christmas Day games, which were a lot of fun to watch. I'm not sure. I had fun watching the broadcasts themselves. Not sure that these were the greatest games in the world. We had a doubleheader on Netflix, and Netflix was getting beat up half the time for buffering. I thought it was fine presentation all the way through, from the pregame shows with the 18 people they had on there back in Los Angeles, or they had it here and they had it there. They had people everywhere, but the Netflix presentation I thought was excellent. And so we had doubleheader again. We started with the Chiefs at the Steelers in Pittsburgh. I had the Steelers looking really good. I predicted that last week that the Steelers would look pretty good. I thought early on it was going to be competitive, but the Steelers, I think, just made too many mistakes. The Chiefs win again. The Chiefs move to 15-1. Mahomes has a great day, throws 3 TDs, goes 29 for 38 for 320 and 3 TDs. I don't know. The running game for Pittsburgh, I thought, was decent. Najee Harris had a decent day. Kelsey was the star, I thought, on the Chiefs offense. From a wide receiver and tight end perspective, with 8 receptions for 84 yards and a TD. He had a great day. He had a great day all day. And the Chiefs really pulled away late with 13 in the fourth, and they look dominant. The Steelers are backsliding these last couple of games. I don't know what's going to happen to them, but they need to kind of get their stuff together because they are clinched to get into the playoffs. It's just, what are they going to look like when they get there? So we'll see. All right. Next part of the doubleheader was the Ravens at the Houston Texans. This game will go down for 2 big reasons. One, because the Ravens absolutely shellacked the Texans. It could have been 31-0, but Derrick Henry got tackled in the end zone early on in the game in the second quarter for the safety that gave the Texans their only points on the day. And the Ravens, again, won 31-2. But the real show, first and foremost, Lamar Jackson was spectacular. I came out of that game. I know a lot of people are feeling this way, that Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson are going back and forth on who is the MVP this year. But Lamar Jackson stood out to me that was a dominant and dynamic performance. He was excellent all the way through. He made people miss. He had excellent throws off of long scrambles. He was just awesome. Derrick Henry did get back in the TD column with 27 for 147. But again, really from a gameplay, Derrick Henry was spectacular except for the safety. Mark Andrews had a great day with a long catch, but Lamar Jackson just continues to stand out and be the star for them. And okay, so the second part of the game was the Super Bowl-esque performance by Beyonce at halftime. I don't care what all the haters say, and I was looking at the X comments and everything like that, man. It was phenomenal. I thought it was great. And the whole way through, I'm going, wow, like, this keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And I'm like, this is a Super Bowl. Like, they spent a ton of money on this halftime show, and it was fantastic. So Good for them. I know that's part of like a long-term deal with Netflix that Beyonce has, but I'd really never seen her perform, or really never seen her perform in 10 or 15 years. And I thought she was great. The Shabuzi, Post Malone, thought those were really good. Was hoping Destiny's Child was going to make an appearance. It's just me, kid from, I was born in the late 1900s in 1979, and, 90s kid. Was hoping, they were going to break out some Destiny's Child. But um, so the Ravens were the star in the football game. Beyonce definitely the star and now it's on Netflix. You can watch the independent broadcast of the 13-minute performances of the Beyonce Bowl, as I think they have it labeled on there. So that was your Christmas Day games. We move on to Thursday, where we had a prime Thursday night game. Basically, I don't know. It's so hard. It's whether, if you like football, I found this game enjoyable to watch, but the Seahawks won 6-3. The Bears could not move the ball. It was raining. I was just happy that I bet the under in this game. I think the under was like 40-43, somewhere in there, or the over under. And there was 9 points scored in the entire game, and all of it, ladies and gentlemen, was scored in the first half. It was 6-3 at halftime, and not a point was scored again. I enjoyed watching the game, but I mean, to the outsider, it was awful. It was awful to watch. Probably that if you didn't have money on the under, which I was just happy and giddy in the second half that they weren't scoring any points. Whatever. It was what it was. I felt bad for Amazon Prime because, again, they put on a great show, and my boy Albert Breer's on there on the pregame show. Shout out to Lincoln Sudbury high school graduates out there. And but it was a rough one to watch. And again, it was 6-3 at halftime. No points were scored the rest of the game, and that's how it ended. So, but good on the Seahawks. They kept in to the playoff hunt, and they're giving themselves a chance. All right, let's move on to Saturday. First of all, I don't understand. Second of all, I don't understand this whole thing of Saturday and Friday and Sunday. I know there are laws and everything that when the NFL can play, but there was all of these bowl games, these college bowl games on Saturday, and they're all competing, and it was like an NFL Network triple header. I'm just like, what the hell is going on here? Like, why are we getting these football games when there's college bowl games on a Saturday, and a lot of them? I don't know. I didn't get it. I didn't understand it. Okay, so sorry, my kids are calling me. Okay. So let's go to Saturday. We've got, first, it was the Chargers and Patriots, complete blowout. Herbert looks great. 26 of 38 for 281 and 3 TDs. Dobbins goes for 76 and a touchdown. Ladd McConkey, who continues to be amazing for the LA Chargers in his rookie year. But it was a complete blowout, just kind of trickled away from the Patriots, and the Patriots moved to 3-13. Chargers moved to 10-6, and that was a clinching game for the Chargers. And I mean, I think one thing that stands out in this game is the idea that Jim Harbaugh just came off a national championship season with the Michigan Wolverines, and the LA Chargers, I think they won 5 or 6 games last year, and all of a sudden he comes in there, changes the culture, gets a couple of players, obviously Joe Alt at right guard. You get Ladd McConkey, you give Herbert some more tools. But I mean, that's an amazing turnaround. And the dude is a ridiculously good coach. And I think he should get credit where credit is due. So, Chargers win 40-7 in New England. Next one was the Broncos and the Bengals, which was a fantastic game. This was the game that everybody was talking about afterwards because went into overtime. Burrow throws for 403 TDs. T. Higgins has a huge game, 11 for 131 and 3 TDs, and the Bengals come back. But I mean, elite quarterback play in this game on Saturday. Elite quarterback play, back and forth. Bo Nix played great, but he threw a late interception. But the Bengals pull it out in overtime. And I mean, what can you say about Joe Burrow? If he wasn't on a 8-8 Bengals team barely, trying to scratch their way, no pun intended, trying to scratch their way into the playoffs, he'd be in the MVP talks. I mean, he has thrown for over 40, 45 touchdowns. He's been incredible. And he needs to be in the MVP discussions. I think he will be at the end of the day, but I think Lamar should get it. But the Bengals end up taking that win. Awesome game. Unbelievable highlights in that one. Bo Nix with that 60-yard pass. But the Bengals get it done in the end. I really did think the Broncos were going to win it. The Broncos had a chance to go for 2 at the end of the game. I thought Sean Payton made the right choice to kick the extra point and to go into overtime and try to see if his team could win it. And the Bengals, Joe Burrow, he has a little bit of that, Mahomes type DNA that if you give him the ball in overtime, he's probably going to score. All right, the last one of the day was kind of a stinker. 13-9, Rams over the Cardinals in LA. It was the nightcap of this whole thing. Kyler Murray goes 33 for 48 for 321 and 1 touchdown. But the Cardinals really just could not do anything on offense. Puka Nacua has another great game, 10 for 129. But the late interception in the end zone off of a tip is what kind of sealed the deal. I don't know if it was an interception. If you look at the highlight, and I'll put this in the clip on social, but does the ball touch the ground? There's been so many of those. Zach Ertz last night in the Commanders game. I mean, so many that are so close to touching the ground. And, if it's called on the field and completion, and a lot of them have stood. So again, thanks for everybody for watching. See a bunch of people on here watching. If you have any questions, comments, just want to yell at me, you can do that. Go right ahead. Feel free. All right. So that was the nightcap of the Saturday games, which again, I don't understand why the heck the NFL is doing all these different games on different nights. Move to the Sunday slate. The Bills absolutely trounced the Jets 40-14. Not much to be said there. Bills go 21 in the third quarter to close that thing out. The Jets get 14 late. Aaron Rodgers opts out of the game late so that Tyrod Taylor can get some playing time. I don't know. The Jets are awful. They're going to have to do some major overhauls in the offseason. I did see today that they're going to interview Rex Ryan. Like, what decade are we in that we're interviewing Rex Ryan for the Jets job? The guy's been this goes to show you the power of TV. Like, Rex Ryan could be completely irrelevant right now, but he happens to be on ESPN every Sunday on Sunday NFL Countdown. So I guess that makes him relevant to be a head coach again for a team that he coached 15 years ago or whatever. I don't understand it at all. I think that would be a terrible move for the Jets, but hey, what the heck do I know? Just a guy chirping from the sidelines. Second game was the Raiders at the New Orleans Saints. Brock Bowers has another great game, 7 for 77. Aiden O'Connell comes back and has a decent game, 20 for 35 for 242 and 2 TDs. The Raiders have shot themselves in the foot a little bit with the NFL draft, but they're doing what they need to do. I mean, they're there to win football games, like the old Herm Edwards clip. I mean, they're there to win the game. And the Saints are bad. And, that's what the Vegas Raiders should do. The next game was hilarious, was the Giants. So the Colts visiting the Giants in the Meadowlands. And the Giants, out of nowhere, off the top rope, score 45 points. They're in the Shedeur Sanders, which I don't think that's a good fit for them, but they're in the quarterback hunt. They're in the NFL draft, early in the NFL draft hunt, and they just come out and they beat a Colts team that needed to win that game to keep themselves into the playoff conversation. Couldn't do it. And the Giants, out of nowhere, score 45 points. Unbelievable. Malik Neighbors with a crazy game, 7 for 171 with 2 TDs. Jonathan Taylor was a star for the day for the Colts for 32 for 125, 2 TDs. They probably ran the ball probably too much, and there's a great clip online of where Portnoy and John Gruden will do sort of one of those like post-mortem phone call shows, and just a Colts fan just tearing them up. So who knows? But the Giants work themselves out of a top 2, top 3 draft pick, and now they've dropped back a couple, and we'll see where it goes from there. But hey, man, good on the Giants for you're there to win the games, right? You're there to perform at your best. You get paid a lot of money to play football, and they went out there and tried to win. Good for them. The next one, oh, the poor Cowboys. They show signs of life these last few weeks, and then they get absolutely trounced by a better Eagles team. The Eagles moved to 13-3. They win 41-7. Jalen Hurts goes out in this one. So basically, the Eagles did it with a backup quarterback. Saquon, just a beast. 30. He should be in the MVP discussion as well. 31 for 167. He passed, I think, the 2,000-yard mark. And he's got one more game to pass Eric Dickerson, but it's not quite apples to apples because now they're playing a 17-game season versus a 16-game season. Nevertheless, the Eagles beat up on the Cowboys. The Cowboys moved to 7-9, but they've already been eliminated from the playoffs. Next one's the Buccaneers and Panthers. I think a lot of people thought coming into this game that the Panthers, who are kind of doing better and better and better, that they're going to cover in this game. They've been covering lately in these games, but Baker Mayfield comes out and just absolutely dominates. 27 for 32 for 359 and 5 touchdown passes. Bucky Irving, to complement that, has 20 carries for 113 yards. There was some nice stuff. Adam Thielen in the first half with Bryce Young. Panthers scoring 14, but the Buccaneers poured on late with 21 in the second half, and there you go. The Bucs win a game they needed to win, 9-7, because then they needed the Commanders to do what they did, blah, blah, blah. But the Bucs needed to win, so they came out and they did what they needed to do. The next one was the game of the day that no one watched, I'm sure, which was the Jaguars and the Titans, the 4-12 Jaguars and the 3-13 Titans in Jacksonville. The Jaguars end up winning 20-13. What do you say? Mason Rudolph played for the Titans. Just both really bad teams right now. And the Titans continue to lose to bad teams. I don't know what's wrong with them. They're going to really have to do some soul searching in the offseason. The next one was Dolphins at the Browns. Dolphins pretty much with Tyler Huntley at quarterback because Tua was out, not with a concussion this time, but really played well. Huntley played really, really well for the Dolphins. Very efficient, 22 for 26 for 225 and one TD, excuse me. He also ran for 52 yards. Tyreek had a good game with 9 for 105. And the Dolphins, again, sort of chipped away over the game and were the better team on the field and took that win. So the Dolphins remain in the playoff hunt at 8-8. The Browns are out, and they're looking to next season and what the heck they're going to do. They're at 3-13. Gross. Probably the game of the day, if it wasn't for the Falcons and Commanders nightcap, was the next one, which was the Packers and the Vikings. Sam Darnold, he got showered in the locker room afterwards. He goes 33 for 43, 377, and 3 TDs. And Justin Jefferson has an incredible day. Crazy one-handed catch that got called back because of some BS push-off or something like that. But the Vikings end up just holding on for dear life as the Packers score 15 in the fourth, but the Vikings were up enough to hold on. And both really good teams, but the Vikings obviously – pull it out, and they're looking really good as they enter. And Sam Darnold, Baker Mayfield, I think this was another thing that was shared on social, was 2 years ago, Baker Mayfield and Sam Darnold are fighting for the starting position in Carolina. Their careers are on this sort of trajectory. Going nowhere. Are they going to be out of the league in 2 years? Both of those guys are starting. They are doing fantastic. Sam Darnold has had an amazing season. Baker Mayfield just got a longer-term contract with the Bucs earlier this year. He's doing amazing, obviously throwing for 5 TDs. Those guys, I mean, you got to tip your hat, your Game Time Sidekicks hat to them and just say good on them for sticking in there and saying, no, I believe in myself and I'm going to make something out of this. So good for you, Sam Darnold. You get the good for you guy of the day. I don't know. I just made that up. All right, last one that was fun to watch all the way until the end was the Commanders and Falcons. Michael Penix has a good game, a promising game, great late touchdown to Kyle Pitts to tie it up at 24. But this thing goes into overtime, and the Falcons never saw the ball. Jaden Daniels is a freak. He is so good. He reminds me of a younger Lamar Jackson. Very elusive, very just smooth. He glides everywhere that he goes. He has a great zip and a great look on the football when he throws it. And the Commanders moved to 11-5, and just you gotta Jaden Daniels, offensive rookie of the year. I've been saying it since like week 5 on this show. He should be. He not only has 227 and 3 TDs through the air, he had 16 carries for 127 yards on the ground. He was amazing. And the Commanders are a really solid, and Cliff Kingsbury is getting that thing humming. They should be a threat in the playoffs. They're going to be tough to beat because they have Jaden Daniels, who can basically bring them back from anything. If they're in a game and he's in the game, he is calm, he is poised, and he looks fantastic in those late game situations where you should be stressed out of your mind. And he's not. He looks great. So that wraps it up for the Week 17 breakdown. Tonight we got Lions and 49ers in San Francisco, or Santa Clara, really, at Levi's Stadium. Supposed to be a beautiful night there on the West Coast. Saw the boys, SVP and Marcus and Kelsey, out there in the parking lot doing Monday Night Countdown. Detroit is at a -3.5 with an over-under of 50 tonight, 50.5. I like the Lions to take care of business. They're the better team. They're the better roster right now. The 49ers are still a little bit depleted. I like the Lions to take care of business by probably a touchdown, maybe 6. But you never know. These games are kind of a crapshoot. But I know with a Dan Campbell team that wants to go into next week with the right kind of momentum, when them and the Lions and Vikings are going to play next week for who gets the number 1 seed in the NFC, that Dan Campbell is going to say, we got to take care of business tonight. We got to win this game, and we got to go in and have them on their heels, have the Vikings on their heels for next week. So that's why I like Detroit to go into Santa Clara and the San Francisco 49ers home and get the win tonight. So again, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. Hope you're doing well, and thanks for watching this week. And make sure to download the Pick'em U app, as we're going to play the playoffs on there, where you can select against us. And also go to honorablementionsports.com, where you can donate to Josh and Caleb and everything that they're doing. David Pollock was on the Josh and Caleb show last week, and it's only getting bigger and better.